This baby hits 88 miles per hour. You're gonna see some serious shit.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 27 of the Take One podcast. As always, I am your host, Michael Bish, and I didn't think I would enjoy saying this, but I'm so glad we're not talking about Halloween ends.
Yes,
I am just exhausted. And for those of you that are just tuning in, my guest tonight is the one and only Marie Dempsey.
Thank you.
How are you? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good, and I was really looking forward to this, and I'm so excited. So excited. And I'm also happy that we're not talking about Halloween Ends, because you're right, it's so draining emotionally.
No lie, Marie, I'm so exhausted about talking about that movie. I really enjoyed the podcast we did last week. I thought everybody was really, really good, but man, I am just ready to move on and really jump into this list. And we got a great show for you all here tonight. We're going to talk about our top 10 favorite horror movies of all time in the spirit of Halloween. And of course, if you're listening to this when it drops, it will be Halloween. So happy Halloween to everybody out there. Spooky season, unfortunately, is over. But if you're like me, and I'm sure like Marie, spooky season is all year round, 365 days a year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the type of person that'll pop in The Shining on Christmas Eve. As much as I love Christmas, it's like I'll watch Home Alone 2, then I'll throw in The Shining. Very weird, but I love it.
Tradition.
So what do you got planned this weekend? It's Halloween weekend. Any plans?
Honestly, no. And then when you have kids, you don't really focus on yourself as much when Halloween comes around.
Yeah.
So it's just about their costumes, but nothing's really going on. So what about you?
I'm having people over tomorrow night for a Halloween costume party. I'm super excited.
What are you gonna be?
This is very weird. You asked this question. I am going to be Michael Myers.
Oh,
I have never been Michael Myers ever, not once. And I was like, you know what? Money a little tight this year. I'm hosting the party, so I got to buy all the food and stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and go with a costume I already have, and I'm going with the Shape himself, not Corey. I'm going as Michael. I'm going as Michael. So,
are you going as a packet of ground beef then, or what?
That's a good question. I am not going as a package of ground beef, but I was thinking about it. I was like, it's super weird. I've never been the Shape for Halloween, as much as that's my number one horror icon. I've been 2 years ago, I was Jason. Last year I was somebody from the Breakfast Club. I've enjoyed Halloween the older I've gotten. Compared to a kid. I mean, of course I loved it when I was a kid, because I just walked around and got free candy all the time. Now I got to pay for my candy. But I just enjoy dressing up and hanging out with friends, and it's super cool down here. So being around the bonfire at night, it's just such a chill and fun environment. So I'm super, super stoked for that.
Nice.
Now I know you used to there are different podcasts, I should say, that I've seen in the past, but I always start off with what you've watched recently. And I want to know, what have you watched recently? Because I feel these past ever since I did the Road to Halloween Ends, I haven't been able to really talk about what I've seen or watched, because the podcasts have been so grouped in with those movies. So I was just curious, have you watched anything new recently, or rewatched that you haven't watched in a long time? What have you been watching this spooky season?
I think my most favorite thing that I've been watching is the TV show, the 101 Scariest Movie Moments of All Time, which is on Shudder.
Oh, I gotta watch that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so they're all the episodes are out now, so you can binge the whole thing. It just made me want to watch so many other horror movies that I haven't seen before. Uh, Things like I had no idea. I said before it was a Gerald's Game. I didn't know that was a horror. I didn't know Jacob's Ladder was a
Mhm.
horror. Basically, I had no idea. And then seeing it's so you have a bunch of like directors and special effects artists on it, and I think some critics and like producers and whatever, and they talk about their favorite moments, and there's some actors on there too, and it's just and just hearing everyone's appreciation for horror movies, it just makes me want to cry. Every time I watch, I'm like, yes, you guys get it. Yes, horror is the best. The way it makes you feel, you should watch it. It's really good.
I'm definitely gonna have. I will start that tonight. Like, I really, really want to see that. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't. I haven't. I'm bad about it. I don't go on Shutter that much like I should. I
Mm.
feel I pay the subscription, but I never really dive into their movies as much as I should. And I know it's like shame on me, right? Shame on me. Um,
Yeah.
how many episodes is it? Do you know?
I think it's 7 or 8.
Oh wow,
I'm gonna
that's a
go.
good
I'm
amount.
gonna go with 7. I'm gonna go with 7.
That's a good amount too. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
that's a lot of scenes to go through, but
Hmm.
I like the fact that you said they kind of go in detail and you hear from other people that were involved with the movies that they
Yeah.
talk about what they like. I'm definitely a big nerd when it comes to like the making ofs or
Hmm.
all that stuff. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the Rob Zombie film, but I watched the 4 hour making of it on YouTube, and I was just so fascinated with how all of that stuff went. So I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. Any new movies that you have seen?
I started watching the VHS franchise, which I've never watched before. So I watched the VHS,
Mm.
the first one, the second one, and the 1999, the 99 one. And it's weird because I think I've mentioned this before here that found footage horror is like my favorite genre ever. And
Oh
you don't like it. You don't like it, right?
no, no, it's not. No, it's not. Okay, it's not that I don't like it. I
Hmm.
can't watch it. It makes me sick to my stomach
Oh
because of the
yeah.
way
Oh
I know, but it's not. Unfortunately, it sucks because it's not just the found footage movies. I can't play Call of Duty.
yeah.
I can't do none of those games. So
Mm,
it sucks. It really sucks. I figured it'd be something like I would grow out of, but I haven't.
yeah.
It's still the same
Oh.
way. Like, I try to watch Cloverfield not too long ago.
Hmm.
I just could not. It made me sick to my stomach.
Oh.
And I know I'm a big baby when it comes to being sick or feeling nauseous. So I was like, I just can't do this. I
Oh.
can't do this. And it sucks because there's so many good movies out there. Like, um, the Blair Witch Project. I went and saw that movie in theaters. But I haven't seen it since because I can't.
Hmm.
I can't. And a lot of people talk about how great that movie is. And I wish I could say the same, but I honestly don't remember everything that happened in that movie.
The Blair Witch Project is not as shaky. There's some in the VHS ones, especially the first one, I think it was. It's like don't you dare watch it. You will definitely vomit. It's like overly shaky. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So definitely stay away from that one. But the Blair Witch, there's some like pretty stationary shots. You might be able to. Why don't you pop like a motion sickness pill beforehand and then watch? You'll be like doped up and groggy. They'll be like, "What's happening?
I
I'm in
know.
the
No,
woods."
I should definitely do something because I want to revisit that film again. I hadn't
Yeah.
seen it since it came out. Like, that is
Mm.
a movie that I remember going to theaters and seeing with my aunt. And I just remember watching it and then getting sick and like having to
Mm.
lay down. Luckily, the seat next to me was open, so I literally just like put the arm seat rest up and just lay down. Like, I was not having it. Have you watched any of like the new ones like Barbarian or
Yes.
Smile? I think
Mm.
was it you weren't big on Barbarian, correct?
No, I appreciated the first half. Like I actually liked the first half of the movie. I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. And then there's like one part. To me, it all stopped being good at one specific part, which is pretty much right in the middle. And I was like, oh shit, what's happening? What's this? And then from there on, I was like, oh,
So
oh.
so so you're telling me when Justin Long's character came on, you checked out.
You know what? I actually really, even though he was like a dick, like I really, I liked his
Hold
character. I
on.
was,
A dick is a very nice way to put it. That man, he was an ass, and then at the end
Yeah.
of the movie, he was an
Worse.
asshole.
Mhm.
Asshole. Like a burning pile of shit is what he
He was
was.
a straight up anus at the end. But he
Like,
was so good at that character. I was like, he was
know.
so good.
I love Justin Long, especially in horror
Me
movies.
too.
Jeepers Creepers, I absolutely love. The ones after that, not the biggest fan. But I just thought he was great in that movie, and I was excited.
Yeah.
I went into this, and it's crazy because a lot of people say you should go into this movie as blind as possible. Well,
Mhm.
I did, but I didn't do that on purpose. I just remember I went and saw The Black Phone, and I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I was like, oh man, that looks so good. And then I remember the weekend that it came out, I saw somebody on Twitter. It was like, I'm gonna go see Barbarian this weekend. I'm like, oh shit, that came out. I gotta go. So I just went straight to the theater. And if you do go in blind, I mean, even if you watch the trailer, like I didn't expect what was gonna happen. There were so
Mm-mm.
many like wow factors in Barbarian. Again, especially involving Justin Long in the end. I was like, literally when that scene happened, like I was like, what an asshole. An
Yes.
asshole. I
I
was like,
know.
there's no way he just did that. Like, I thought it was like maybe a dream sequence or something at first. And I'm like, oh
Mhm.
no,
They did
that
a
was
really good job of making you care about him. Like slowly you end up thinking he's a dick. Oh wait, actually he's not that bad. Oh, he's kind of redeeming himself. Oh, and it's like, oh shit, no.
I know.
Once a dick, always a dick.
Terrifier 2 I saw recently. I'm trying to think how I can word this. So I was late to the Terrifier series. I think I was talking to you, messaging
Mhm.
you on Instagram the day I watched the first Terrifier, which was only like a
Mhm.
month ago now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
very gruesome.
Mm.
And this second movie takes that up a whole another level.
Does
Like,
it?
yes. And I think it's coming to Amazon. I don't know if you have Amazon Prime or not.
Mhm. Mhm.
I think it's coming on Amazon Prime on Halloween, so in a few days.
Mm.
So you should definitely check that out. So I, as much as I enjoyed Terrifier 1, like the first film, like for what it was,
Mhm.
I definitely understood that it was a low budget film, a super
Mhm.
low budget film. Terrifier 2 is the same way, like it's low budget, but you can tell that what they did in the second movie that I really enjoyed was they've actually given you characters to care about and like gave you some
Mm.
story backline. Unlike the first one, you just kind of get introduced to these two women with like really no background or anything like that. And it's really just Art the Clown going crazy and killing people. And it's the same thing in the second film, but the storyline is developed and you care about these characters a little bit more because that happens. So,
Mm.
and it's just crazy how like as much as I like hate Halloween Ends, like it's just like this, it's just flopped in the box office. And I love seeing movies like Terrifier 2 and
Mhm.
Barbarian and right now Smile outdid Halloween Ends last weekend. And I was like,
Good.
I was like, well, I was like, no fucking way. Like never, even like never in my life, I never would have imagined that. But like, I love seeing like these low budget horror films.
Mhm.
Whether even I ended up liking them or not, like X, Barbarian, like these movies that are like new. I feel like we've
Yeah.
been in such a era right now where we're getting a lot of remakes and a lot of
Mhm.
continuations from old slashers, which I don't mind if done right.
Right.
But I do really miss and want like that new horror icon. That's why I appreciate Terrifier, and I think Art the
Oh.
Clown can do that. Like, and again, I'm really enjoying what these small market movies are doing.
Mhm. I think Art the Clown is probably, if not like the scariest horror movie icon ever. He is terrifying. It's crazy. I've only seen Terrifier 1, but I remember watching it and I was like, this is brilliant. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. He's so
He
scary. He's so scary.
Well, what's crazy is I remember watching the first one and I remember turning it on and I was like, oh, this is kind of low budget. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a chance. And I was like, but in my back of my mind, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I could not take my eyes off the screen.
Nice.
And it had to do with Art the Clown. He was just fucking creepy. Like when he came into the diner and was just sitting at the table staring at the girl.
Oh my god.
The creepiest thing in the world. Like, oh man,
Yes.
it was so good. So good.
His stillness in some parts were just like, that's so creepy when you're just like standing there, and then he just like smile real big out of nowhere, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, we've got outside of like Pennywise from It, we've gotten a bunch of these horror movies with clowns, but none of them ever stuck. Art the Clown has stuck for sure. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Are you looking forward to any other horror movies this year? I don't even know if any really are coming out. If I'm being honest with you, off the top of my head, I know. I wouldn't consider it horror, but I'm really looking forward to like spooky season as far as like Wednesday is coming out on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. I like the Addams Family, and I really like Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday in this show, so I'm super excited for that. Do you have anything
really blowing up?
Ain't it crazy? Like, and it's crazy because she was in Scream, and she's not even the main character in Scream either. So I thought that was pretty crazy, but she's definitely blowing up.
The first place I ever saw her was that show You, the season 2 of You. She was in there. The first place I saw her, and then she's like, poof, she's like big now.
So crazy. She's definitely taking advantage of it. What about you? Anything you're looking forward to? It doesn't even have to be horror. Like, anything. Like, I don't know are you like big into like superhero movies or anything? I feel like because every time we talked, we did talk about rom-coms, didn't we? Or romance movies. We talked about. I think so because I was like, oh, I can bring you on for romance movies or something like that. We were talking something other than horror.
FYI, if you ever want to do that, I'm so down to talk about it.
Yes, that's what it had to be. That's what we talked about. It was a movie. Okay. What did I posted something on my Instagram story? I was how to say how to lose a guy in 10 days. I did just watch that though, by the way. The day I was sick, I was like, oh, I'm definitely watching. But no, it was another one. Oh, with Heath Ledger and
10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes, 10 Things I Hate About You. I knew there was a 10 in there. And I think you responded. And I think that's where we started talking about like that genre in general. So I was like, oh, that'd be good. Because I feel like I love talking horror, but I love to talk to other people that have like different interests too. Because I love like the whole spectrum of film. Like, I'm really looking forward to the new Black Panther movie coming out in a couple weeks. I went and saw Black Adam, by the way, this past weekend.
And
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I heard it's actually surprisingly better than people were expecting. I
like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So, I mean, I grew up a wrestling fan, so I was always walking wrestling. That's what my dad used to call wrestling, because like my mom would let me watch it, and like I would come home like to my dad's and like do all the moves on my brothers and sisters, and he's like, you gonna cut that wrestling out right now. I would talk with your mom, you gonna stop watching that wrestling. But no, I was shockingly surprised. And what's actually crazy, the Rotten Tomato scores are so like ridiculous. Like the critic review on it is like 40%.
Yeah.
The audience review is like 91%.
I go for the audience review every time.
Oh, of course. But I feel like at least they're usually in the same ballpark.
Kind of.
That is a huge difference.
Yeah.
I was like, but no, I really enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, okay. So, anything else that you want to talk about as far as anything you're looking forward to coming out?
I honestly don't know what's coming out.
There's really not that much. Black Panther is like the biggest thing, and then like I don't even know what's after that. Like, yeah, I'm not sure. I hope to get surprised. Like I'm looking at like every new movie I'll watch in 2022. Like I go to my Letterbox. Do you know what Letterbox is? And I just make my list of all the movies that I
Ooh.
watch, and I've just been ranking all the movies that I've been watching, and it's crazy because 1, 2, 3 movies that I had no idea about. They're X, Terrifier 2, and Barbarian. They're all in my top 5 of the year.
Ooh.
I
Okay.
never would have imagined that. Top Gun for me is number 1, which
Really?
I never would imagine that either. I'm not the biggest Top Gun fan, and I went and saw it, and it was just fucking phenomenal.
Loved it? Good.
Loved it. Yeah, so I don't know. I've seen a lot of good movies this year. I personally feel like it's been a good year for horror outside of a couple of movies.
It's been a big year for horror, a big year.
Okay, we'll go big year. But like for me, I think it's been a good year, and I'm looking at my list, and 2 horror movies that are my lowest are 2 franchises that I love, and that's Halloween Ends and Scream. They're really low on my list. I didn't really like either of them.
Oh, well, yeah.
So
I didn't see Scream because I heard just not to watch it. I heard it's like that bad.
Oh, okay. It's not as bad as Halloween Ends.
I don't think anything can be. I don't think
so.
anything can be. So
I have a couple on here, and there is one the very last movie is a horror movie, and it's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that Netflix released.
Oh, okay.
That was
Not
fucking
good.
bad.
No. Oh, okay, I didn't watch it. I've never seen any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies ever.
Oh, really?
Oh, wait, I think I watched one, but can I say this? I smoked a little weed beforehand, and every time I do that, I don't remember the movie. And this was years ago, but I don't remember it.
So you don't remember which one?
It was like the remake. I think it was like 2000 and
not. Does it have Jessica Biel in it?
I think yeah. It was
I get a lot of flack for this, but that's my favorite Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay,
like I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, you should go back and revisit it. But like Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not one of those franchises that I'm like obsessed with, like some people are. It's just I don't know. It's just never really resonated with me. But that movie that Netflix released was I'd watch Halloween Ends 5 times a day before I'd watch that once. You want to talk about just like it's hard to explain. It's hard to explain if you haven't. It's just very corny, like very corny, and like I don't know. 2009 is way better. If you watch any of them, watch the original or watch the 2009 one. I really like that.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so excuse me. It's Halloween season, right? The time of candy. This is where all the candy gets eaten up, and I didn't tell you about this, Marie, at all. So I'm gonna kind of surprise you. I want you to tell me your top 5 favorite Halloween candies. And I wanted to do something to put you on the spot. I'm like, I can't let her know everything. I'm like, I gotta throw something at her. You seem confident, like you've been eating like all kinds of I knew it. I knew it wasn't gonna be hard. I knew it. What do you have?
Okay, well, ever since I was a kid, I'll name like my favorite ones that I get. But I'm in Canada, keep in mind, so I'm not sure if we have different stuff, but we do have different stuff. I know that for sure. But there's certain things that only have come out around in the Halloween packs. They're nowhere else to be found all year round. I don't know. And one thing is these little candies called dots. And they're like gummy candies, like jujubes, but like small. You know, dots?
They're like little gumdrops. They look like little gumdrops. Yeah. I think they're fucking terrible.
I love them.
I love that. You don't have them though?
We only have them in Halloween time. That's it. And then another thing is this brand of chips called Humpty Dumpty chips.
Never heard of it.
They don't exist until Halloween comes, and then like some sort of alternate universe dimension opens, and the Humpty Dumpty chips are like.
They're probably like, oh shit, they're popping up spirit Halloweens everywhere. We should throw out these Humpty Dumpty chips.
I don't know what it is about them. They're so good. I don't know if they're like extra oily or something, but it's just like Humpty Dumpty chips.
Nice. I like it. I'm glad the chips is different, right? It's not like the chocolate or anything like that. So I'm glad
Mhm.
you threw that in there.
Okay. And then try to think of like my favorite things that I get. I mean, of course, if you go to a place that had like the big chips or the big whole chocolate bars,
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
houses. But which kind? Okay, well, okay, mine are probably all
Mine are all
chocolate.
basic. Mine's all 5 of mine are basic as hell.
Well, Snickers bars, mini Snickers.
I love that.
Okay. I'm trying to think of like a fifth one to add because my top one, which you guys do not have in the States, is a chocolate
What?
bar called Caramilk.
Oh no. Now I'm intrigued.
So it's just milk chocolate with filled with caramel, and
Can you ice pack
it's
that and
so
send it to
good.
me?
I don't even know if I need to ice pack it. I can just send it.
I just don't want it to melt.
I might not. Yeah, I should. I should send you some caramel bars. There's a whole bunch of Canadian. Like, do you guys eat ketchup chips?
Oh my god. No, but I was talking to I was talking to Sean, who was on the podcast with us last week because he lives in
Mm-hmm.
Canada. And he was talking about eating ketchup chips. I said, "What?"
Mm.
I was like, "Do they taste like ketchup?" He's like, "Kind of." And he was trying to explain like the texture of them and like what the chip had on them. And I'm like, the closest thing to a ketchup chip that we had was when Doritos came out with the cheeseburger chips, and I could taste the ketchup and onion. Like other than that, I've never heard of a ketchup chip.
Oh my gosh, ketchup chips are my absolute favorite.
He said the
They're
same
so
thing.
good. They're so good.
I'm like, what? What the hell is this?
Okay, I'll throw ketchup chips then in my Halloween because we get those too, like little mini bags of ketchup chips. So good. It tastes like, and people find it so weird, like, oh, ketchup chips. I'm like, well, it's potato in ketchup, like French fries dipped in
Okay.
ketchup. That's essentially what it's like.
So when you get some, I need you to DM me a picture of that.
Okay.
I just want to see what they look like.
They look like red. They're chips with like red chip dust on it.
Okay. Well, do a video review for me.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
I will.
You don't have to do that.
No, I will.
I'm just intrigued because like you're not the first person I'd never heard of that 3 days ago, and then like the past 48 hours I've heard it from 3 different Canadians. I'm like, what?
Ketchup
I'm
chips,
I'm
baby.
jealous. I'm jealous. Is that 5?
Yeah, you know what you just need? You just need a Canadian treat and snack care package sent to you. That is what you need.
I would love that.
Right? Okay.
Is it expensive for you to
maybe...
send something?
Oh, do you know how expensive it is? Like from Canada, the States, Canada, everything's expensive. So
damn,
to
yeah,
ship stuff. Oh god,
that's what I heard. Yeah, because I was gonna send Sean something I had that I had extra of, and he said it's super expensive. I've never shipped anything up there, so I don't know.
Ugh. Everything because it has to go like duty fees across the border, and they gotta check everything. And stupid Canada.
Okay, I feel like the basic white girl now because all of my answers are just basic. You like threw in some like really cool like
some exotic stuff, some like exotic
stuff. Yes, some exotic candy. Maria out here with the exotic candy, and Michael is just about to be basic as fuck.
Let's hear it.
Starburst is number 5 for me.
Oh yes.
Especially okay. What's your favorite color though?
Pink.
Man, that's a good one.
What's your favorite color?
Pink and yellow are my 2 favorite. But yeah, I used to love getting Starburst as a kid. I haven't actually had Starburst in a really long time. Kit Kat is number 4 for me. And then number 3 is the mini Snickers. Have to go with those. Those were always the best. They still hit to this day. And number 2 and 1 are kind of cop-outs because they are kind of the same thing. But number 2 are peanut butter M&Ms. Those are my favorite M&Ms. And then number 1, come on, it's the goat of all goats, Reese's peanut butter cups.
I know. I purposely didn't add that one because I'm like, it's everyone's. Like everyone has that. Hey, do you have a chocolate bar there called Wonder Bar? But it's not W-O, it's W-U, Wonder Bar. Do you have?
I don't think so. Do
you guys have Cadbury chocolate? Because that's what it is. Like
Maybe.
that brand. Okay, because Wonder Bars have peanut butter in it. And
Oh, really?
they're so, if you're a peanut butter person, that should go in the care package. Wonder Bar.
I would love that. I would love that. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of candy. I'm really picky when it comes to candy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just a basic person. Like give me my Reese's and let me roll. Like when I go to the movies and I get popcorn, I sneak in Reese's Pieces with me and I toss them just right into the popcorn.
I love how, really?
Yeah. It's so good. You've never done that?
I bet it would be like salty and sweet. I like how you call it Reese's Pieces.
What do you call it?
Reese's Pieces here.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, but Reese's Pieces is a lot more adorable. So I'm going to say that from now on.
Well, Reese's Pieces, I feel like is the correct way to say it, and I've never said it that way. Okay, time out. What are we pouring?
It was really loud by my microphone.
I should have started off the podcast with that. So, Marie, I see you're drinking, or actually pouring something into your. Oh my God, you're gonna spill it.
No, I like it full to the brim.
What are you drinking tonight?
It's always the same.
Is it a Coke Zero?
Yes. Mixed with vodka.
Nice.
But you know what I like doing actually? I'm gonna make like alcoholic bevies. You take half a Coke Zero and then half of a vanilla cherry seltzer water. So good.
I should try. I'm not the biggest seltzer type of person.
But mix it with Coke.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I should try that.
Are you drinking? What are you drinking?
I am just drinking Crown Royal. Peach Crown Royal, which is my absolute favorite. It's very hard to find. I have to always look to see what ABC store in the area sells or isn't in stock with the Crown Peach, because we never have them. So hard to find here. And like literally, like when I find somebody has them in stock, like I'll go in and I'll buy one, and she's like, "You sure you don't want to get a couple more? You know they're gonna be gone."
Yeah.
And I'm always like, "Nah," and then I'm like, I should have got an extra bottle. I should have grabbed one.
They make Crown Royal an hour away from me. That's where the Crown Royal place is.
I know you sent me that big ass picture, and I was like, "Oh, I'm jealous." It was like the picture of all the Crown Peach, and I'm like, "Oh man, you're literally in heaven right now." I was so jealous. Was it where'd you go? Like just the Crown Royal like main place?
No, that was just a liquor store. They had that much.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was stocked.
I'm so fucking jealous. That's amazing. Literally, like I'll be lucky if I run in a liquor store has 5 of them here.
Oh God, there's a whole shelf. There's like shelves, plural.
It's just fucking crazy. All right, so we're 30 minutes into the podcast. I think it's a great time to jump into our top 10 horror movies of all time. What do you think about that?
I'm so pumped. I'm so excited.
I'm wondering just how different our lists are going to be. I would assume you have some found footage on yours.
I might.
True. So I figured I already knew ours would be different. So you got plenty of time, no time limit on the podcast. So we'll just go 10 for 10, 9 for 9, 8 for 8. I'll let you start off first because you are the guest. And because I'm still kind of trying to decide what my number 10 is. It's literally the hardest one because I'm like, I don't want to leave this out, but I can't leave this one out. And then this one. But we'll go over some honorable mentions too.
Yes.
So.
Good. Okay, my number 10 is, I don't know if this episode's going to be on YouTube. Is it?
I haven't decided yet.
Well, let's just do. Okay, well, I'm wearing the shirt. The Exorcist is my number 10. So the reason why it's so low on the list, even though it's like a masterpiece, is because I can't watch it. Like I can't watch it.
Even to this day.
I don't know if the first time I watched it, I was like a 13-year-old girl, little Catholic girl at a sleepover, and I remember I was sweating so bad and I wanted to throw up because it was so scary. And then I slept with the light on for 6 months. So I've seen it maybe twice ever since then, but that movie is like an experience. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to pop a horror movie in and watch it. It's like you got to be mentally prepared. It's not like you can just watch it and be like, ooh, is this spooky? It's like The Exorcist is to me the scariest movie ever made. It's an experience. Like you're going through something when you watch that movie. You're going through it, and because it's such a masterpiece, it's my number 10.
That's a really, really good choice. And I agree with everything that you said. Like it's I remember watching it for the first time and like just being scared as fuck. It was one of the first movies of its kind that I ever saw, and it's just really creeped me out. So that's a really good choice. I'm actually trying to convince Kevin to come stay with me for a couple days. We're trying to link up here soon, but we're trying to figure out where to go. So if he comes up and stays with me, I live like 2 hours away from where The Exorcist was filmed. So we're gonna
like we're like this the scene or no?
Yes.
Okay,
that scene. So and I've never been, and I want to go, and the steps are what is very iconic. Those are still there. So it's in Washington DC. So I don't know. I'm trying to decide what we want to do, but I've never been up there, and I really want to go check it out. I can just, even though it's a movie, I know just being like around there and seeing those things like with my own two eyes, it's gonna give me chills.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. Did you see me? I was like rubbing my. It's not just a movie. That's the thing with The Exorcist. It is not just a movie. It's not.
That is true. That is true. It's an experience. Okay. This is
number 10.
I know this is a big struggle for me because I'm leaving some good ones off the board. But number 10 for me, I'm gonna go with Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Part 6. Okay.
Part 6. I think I'm not a big fan of Friday the 13th, period. I think the first film is a little overrated. Doesn't have Jason in it. It's just his mom. So I'm just not the biggest fan of that. It's not a terrible movie at all. It's just not my thing. Like I watched Friday the 13th for Jason, and I think Jason is at his prime in Part 6. It's the most entertaining one. It's my favorite one. And I watch it every year. And I really thought about, what was I going to put? Was I going to put this movie at number 10, or was I going to put Halloween 4 at number 10? And it's still tough when I think about it. It's hard for me not to put a Friday the 13th movie in my top 10. So I would say more along those reasons. That's why I put it at number 10, but it's very, very close with Halloween 4. So I went Friday the 13th, Part 6 for my number 10.
I've never seen it. I've only seen like 1.5 Friday the 13th movies. Like honestly, I'm not into Jason very much. Like I like the aesthetic of Jason, but I'm just not into slasher movies actually that much.
I heard you say that before.
Yeah,
which I found super interesting, but really, really cool as well, because that's just different, and I love that. What about number 9 for you?
Okay, number 9 is a found footage movie, and it is Host. Host, you could watch.
I've heard a lot about this, so like I'm interested to hear what you had to say about this movie.
Okay, first of all, Host you can watch because it's no cameras. It's a screen and it's a Zoom call.
Yes, yeah.
The
whole time. The whole time.
The whole movie is you're looking at a screen with different Zoom things, and you think, oh, but no. It's so
I trust
good.
You. I trust you. I hear so many great things about it.
Okay, it has like 100% of Rotten Tomatoes, by the way. It's like super good. It's only 54 minutes. It's like a perfect length for a movie that's just a Zoom call. It came out and was filmed during like lockdown quarantine times. And it was just like the perfect movie to come out at that time because they kind of touch on it a little bit. That's why none of them are hanging out, because they can't. And it kind of gives you that feeling of like seclusion, because it's like no one's gonna help you, no one can help you, no one can come over and save you, like and it is the only movie I ever screamed during.
Really?
At the top of my actually screamed.
Okay, so I don't want you to go into detail yet.
The
next time I have you on the podcast, we're going to talk about it because I'm going to watch it.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I'm gonna watch it because that's steered away from it because I knew it was found footage and I was like, I just don't want to go through that. Like I can't do that. I can't do it. But I trust you. So if you said it's not like that and it's just the Zoom calls, I will definitely rock. It just always had me intrigued because I would hear nothing but great things about it, and then I would hear it being a found footage / Zoom type of entire movie, and then the 54 minutes. So I'm like,
Mhm.
man, like it's very intriguing once you hear all of those things line up.
There's maybe a couple really short scenes that a girl's on her phone once. It might be a little bit shaky, but for the majority of the movie, it's just like still. So I'm so excited for you to watch this movie. If anyone has not watched Host, even if you're not into found footage horror, it's just really well done. It's so good. I highly recommend that movie.
I'm super excited now.
Yeah.
Because I've not really like talked one-on-one with somebody about it. I've just heard like people talk about it or see people talk about it.
Ooh.
So it's on Shudder, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I might have to check that out. Okay, number 9 for me is The Lost Boys. I definitely had to throw this in here. I'm not the biggest like vampire kind of guy. Like my sister has tried to get me to watch Vampire Diaries. I could never really get into it. And I've tried to watch other vampire stuff like Twilight, not my thing. Like not yeah. So I know that's totally
No.
different. I'm just going down like the vampire scale. Like the only other vampire movie that I remember liking was the old Disney Channel original movie, My Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, anyways, I have to go with The Lost Boys. I think the cinematography in it is absolutely phenomenal. The sound and score is amazing in it. There are parts that really creep me out. And overall, I just think it's a really, really, really great movie that I watch actually a lot all the time. And I actually was able to see it in theaters. They played it in theaters a couple weeks ago. A couple days after I went and saw Halloween 1978 in the theater. So I was able to experience that in the movie theater. And it's just phenomenal. It was, I'll tell you what, there is nothing like watching your favorite movies on the big screen.
I can't even imagine.
Like when I saw Halloween 1978, oh,
it must felt so good.
I know it makes me so happy just to even talk about it. I kept my ticket stub.
Oh,
I know. It just I was the happiest to see that movie, and then I was like, I'm definitely going to go watch The Lost Boys, and same experience. It was absolutely phenomenal. So number 9, I have The Lost Boys.
nice. I must say, my favorite vampire movie is 30 Days of Night. Have you ever seen 30 Days of Night?
No.
That is my favorite vampire movie. It takes place in somewhere way up north. I don't know if it's in Alaska. I don't know. Where it's like dark for 30 days straight, that the sun doesn't come up. And that's all I'm going to say. It's good. There's one scene in it in particular that I love so much.
I'm taking notes. Like,
yes,
I'm
gonna, take note.
Because I got a couple good movies now that I'm excited about watching. So, but if you trick me with one of these found footages,
no, I never would do that.
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
God, especially when it comes to puking. God, I'd never do that to you. Jeez.
I know. All right. What do you have at number 8?
Number 8 is The Conjuring.
What?
Mm-hmm.
The Conjuring.
The Conjuring. The Conjuring to me was a movie that came out, a newer horror movie that gave me faith that they could make good new horror movies, because it was so long without like a really good horror movie. And then that one came out. I'm like, okay, a new horror movie is probably gonna be garbage, because most of them are. I remember watching it being like, oh damn. First of all, I was scared out of my mind. The effects were great. The makeup was great. It has one of my favorite horror movie scenes in it of all time.
Oh, what is it?
It's when the kids are in bed and the one daughter is just staring at the dark corner being like, can't you see it? Can't you see it? And it focuses on the...
Yes.
It focuses on the corner and you don't see it. But you're feeling, I'm getting chills. You're feeling the dread and you're waiting for something to happen. And it's like, it's so long and so drawn out. and you're so scared for her because she can see something, and then everyone's like, we don't see it, and that is one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever. Brilliant.
I am going to say that The Conjuring is the best, in my opinion, the best paranormal horror movie ever of all time.
Ooh, that's a bold statement.
It is. And you know what that puts that over, right? What you have on your shirt.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
you know what? I get it. Well, me too. It's over The Exorcist because you can watch The Conjuring over again, right? Like The Conjuring is a movie like, I want to watch The Conjuring. I'm in the Conjuring mood, but it's still a little too scary that I can't watch it right at bed. But I can watch it at night and be like, I love it. But Exorcist, fuck you, Exorcist. You're too much.
So I up until The Conjuring came out, I was never a fan of paranormal movies. I was 100%. I'm a slasher guy. I enjoyed The Exorcist. So
I'm opposite.
Let me take that back. I enjoyed The Exorcist. But kind of the same boat as you. It's a movie that I don't revisit, if I'm being honest. I mean, not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that I don't revisit it. Whether it's I can't or I don't, that's up for debate. But The Conjuring, I feel like once that movie came out, I fell in love with paranormal. Like that was the movie that really kicked it off for me. And then that's when I enjoyed this Insidious movies. I think The Conjuring is everything that I just said it was, I enjoyed Conjuring 2. I just wasn't the biggest fan of the third film.
Neither was I. I didn't like it.
Yeah,
it was too much. Too produced.
Yeah. Yes. So I didn't like that. And then there's a lot of movies in the Conjuring world that I don't like. But when it comes to just like The Conjuring, even the second one, I enjoy both of those a lot. But specifically on this first one, absolutely amazing. I remember when they were filming Halloween Kills in North Carolina. I went down there because my aunt stayed down there, and I was like, I'm gonna go check out the Halloween locations. And I'm just like at lunch, like just Googling stuff, and I realized that I found that the Conjuring house was filmed right down the street. So the real one is up north, I think, like towards Connecticut area, up somewhere up there. But where they filmed it, where in that first movie where that house is, it's actually down in North Carolina. So I went and visited that and took some pictures, and
nice.
That was really cool. And I wasn't able to go onto the property because they had a gate. But there are people that were lucky enough to go, and I'm super jealous. But I agree with everything that you said about The Conjuring. You're not going to catch any disagreements from me at all. Number 8 for me is Halloween 2. I think it's the best sequel, in my opinion, to the original. I can watch them back to back. It still feels like the same night. Michael's a little bit more brutal in that movie, but he still sticks to what Michael was, what he is. He's still the Shape in Halloween 2. And that movie just scared, as much as I loved the original Halloween, and it's still I still enjoy it the best out of the Halloween franchise. Halloween 2 was the first Michael Myers movie that really scared the hell out of me. Yeah. And it had to do with that empty fucking hospital at night. And every time I go into a hospital, which is rare, no lie, Marie, I just walk in and I look around and I'm like, there's no fucking way. If this place was empty at nighttime, I'm shitting myself easily. Like there's just easily I would be scared. That is a setting that I would be scared in. Nobody even has to be there, Michael. Nobody has to be there. If I'm in an empty hospital or like on an empty level of a hospital room floor, like I'm done. Like I'm scared of shit immediately.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
scared.
It's a creepy vibe. Yeah.
I hope I never have to go to the hospital at night, because the first thing on my mind outside of what I'm going there for is going to be, oh, there's no way I can do this. Like I'm just going to immediately think of Halloween 2. I thought that Donald Pleasance in Halloween 2 was really good. We get to see him open up a lot more. Laura, you don't get to see a lot. She's bed rested. a lot in this movie, but I think it's one of the best chase scenes in all of the Halloween
Yeah.
films.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so you talk about suspense. That movie gives off suspense. So that
Yeah.
is Halloween 2 is my number 8, and The Conjuring is your number 8.
Yes.
So what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Halloween H2O. Is it weird that
Yes.
is it weird that it's yours? Is that your number 7 or no?
No,
No.
it's not my H2O didn't make my top 10.
You know what? I had to just because
I'm not mad at it at all. I'm glad you did.
oh,
I'm glad one of
I
us
had
did.
to. I had it
Yeah.
up higher, and then I was like, actually, wait. There's movies I like more, but I've said it before. Halloween H2O is like my cozy blanket movie, especially for a Halloween movie. It's the one that I rewatched the most. It's
Agreed.
brighter. Laurie Strode's character in it is my favorite out of all the movies. It's where Halloween should have ended in my mind. The trilogy is 1, 2, and H2O, and that's well. You know what though? I love 4 and 5 as well. But you know what? It should have ended. It should have ended at
You know,
Halloween H2O, and I
well
love it so
that's
much.
fine. That's fine because I like 4 and 5 as well. But
Mhm.
I think my favorite timeline is the
Yes,
H2O timeline. So
me too.
I agree on that.
It's so good, and all the psycho references which we discussed in our Halloween H2O episode. It's just that I love that movie. It makes me so it brings me so much joy, and it's not that scary. There's not that much gore. Michael with his eyes showing, which I actually grew to appreciate, even though maybe I'm just trying to force myself to like the mask because the mask is so bad. But how
Yeah.
like the eyes kind of play their own character. It's just so great. And like the opening scene, Michael, the opening scene.
That
Mm.
opening scene.
Mm.
So I would I would say H2O is not my favorite Halloween movie, but
Mhm.
it's definitely on. Like I have 4 movies on the Halloween pedestal, which is the original Halloween 2, Halloween 4, and H2O. That's like my pedestal, and then like you got to go down a couple notches, and then the rest of the movies start.
Yeah.
But H2O is oh
Oh,
man, I can sit here and say this Halloween season I've watched it at least 3 or 4 times. Like
oh
it's
yeah.
easily what I've watched most so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you said. That opening scene, come on now, so
Yeah.
iconic. It's an easy watch. It's not too long. It's not too short. As
Mhm.
you said, it's not really scary, but there's suspense in that movie,
Right.
right? So
Mhm.
you got to at least have one or the other, and at least had the suspense, especially um, when the kids drive off and it's just Lori and Michael at the school, and then
Oof.
a dead quote unquote LL Cool J. Um,
Mhm.
outside of that, at that point, we just knew it was Lori and Michael, and it brings so much suspense to that scene and to the end of the movie. So I agree 100%.
Good. I knew you would.
My number 7. Do you want to know what my number 7 is?
Absolutely.
It's The Conjuring.
Mhm. Mhm.
I had to throw it in there, and I was just like you. I was when you were talking about H2O, I was thinking about putting The Conjuring up a little higher, but this
Mhm.
is like where like this from here on was really really tight for me. As far as where these movies lie, like I really enjoy these movies. But yeah, I mean, we've already talked about The Conjuring. We've already like dived into that. I mean, we've said everything. It's just one of those movies that I feel like it was game changing for the horror community.
Yes.
It was one of those movies, and I will forever be grateful for The Conjuring. And a movie is gonna have to blow me away to be my number one paranormal movie of all time. Because right now it's The
Mm.
Conjuring. So,
Nice.
all right, we are at number 6. So right
Number.
before our top 5. So
Ooh. Okay.
what do you have at number 6?
Okay. Number 6 is Creep Show, and
Good one.
the reason why Creep Show is in my list at all, and I love it. I do love it, but the big reason from my heart is because it is the first horror movie I ever watched ever. And like we've talked about before, at my uncle's
Yeah.
house, the uncles have the good horror. They introduce us to stuff. But I just remember watching.
Always those damn uncles. It's
Yeah,
always those damn uncles, man.
well, I'm grateful this time. Like,
Actually,
um,
me too. Trust me.
it's it's funny and it's silly and but it's gory and the effects are good and there's humor but it's like this creepy anthology and it's just a fun watch. It's just fun to put on.
Yeah.
The crate is definitely my favorite segment in that movie. And it just really awoken a lot of feelings in me when I was a kid, and I was like, what is this? And from then on I was like, ooh, I want to see blood. Ooh, I want to see things that creep me out. Ooh, this is like going on a roller coaster a little bit, like giving me some thrills. So I was just like, F yeah, horror movies. And that was the one that started it all. So,
Oh, I didn't know that. I love hearing
yeah.
that. I love hearing what movie started it all for people.
Oh, yeah. Good job.
And I'm gonna break your heart, Marie. I've never seen Creepshow.
Really?
I've
Oh,
never seen Creepshow.
do you know what else I really love about it?
What's up?
It has this like it's very like 80s, like kind of the there's
All right,
all I don't I was
you already got me sold if you said it's the 80s. I mean, I mean,
yeah,
think about it. I'm just like an 80s nerd. Stranger Things, Lost Boys, The Breakfast
yes.
Club. Like that's just me. So you already got me sold.
There's things about I remember the first episode I ever watched from Stranger Things. I was like, oh, they're copying Creepshow with this, and I loved it. I was like, this is like Creepshow, and
Oh,
the
I gotta watch
music's
that.
good, and they do these shots because it's based off of a graphic novel, and Stephen King wrote it. It has like three of the most iconic. George A. Romero directed it, I think. Stephen King wrote it, and the guy, oh my gosh, the makeup guy, the effects guy, Tom Savini.
Oh, that sounds super familiar.
It's like
Super familiar.
it's the trifecta of
Yeah.
horror people, and they do these shots that look like horror. I'm sorry, like comic book pages, where it's just like a light and a background, and like looks like comic book in the back. Oh man, oh my
Yeah.
god, Creepshow so good.
Okay. Oh, I gotta watch it now. I love your excitement. The excitement on your face just like sells it all.
Oh, so good. It's cheesy, like it's cheesy as fuck. And remember, it's 80s, so just keep that
Yeah,
in
yeah.
mind.
Trust me, I know. Okay, so good pick. I
Okay.
think. I think. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I can't. I trust you though, and you have me sold. Like I already have 3 movies that I'm really looking forward to watching.
Nice.
Okay, so this is a debate one,
Mm,
and I keep hitting my mic, so I'm sure everybody's hearing that. Big debate. Number 6 for me is Jaws.
mm,
It's a
mhm.
big debate because a lot of people think it's a horror movie,
Right?
and a lot of people don't. So today, when I already had this list put together pretty much, except for the bottom, like 8, 9, 10. I didn't know where
Mhm,
it was going to go. Um, so I was like, I asked on my Facebook, I asked on my Instagram, is Jaws a horror movie?
mhm,
So divided, so divided. I think on Instagram it was 60% yes, 40% no. But
mhm.
on my Facebook comments, it was more no's than yeses. So it's very divisive out there. Um, I think it's a horror movie because
Yep.
I think it reminds me of The Conjuring as far as changing the game. Like for
Mhm.
me, I mean, I can't tell you when I ever thought the first time I thought about this, but anytime I ever thought about the ocean, I just thought about sharks. And I thought
Yeah.
about getting attacked by sharks. Like, and I just remember like talking to people that like saw this movie when it first came out. And I remember watching the trailer for this, like going back and just looking at the trailer for when it came out. And one of the slogans in the trailer was, "You'll never want to get in the water again."
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I talked to people when this movie came out, and they said there is nothing more truer than that statement right there. Like
Mhm,
it struck feet. Like horror is supposed to scare you. This
mhm,
movie scared people into not wanting to get into the water.
mhm.
Um, the cinematography in this movie, I think, is just absolutely phenomenal. They actually just re-released Jaws in IMAX a
Mm,
couple months ago, so I went and checked that out. It was one of the best movie experiences ever. Like
oh,
being rendered into the IMAX screen and then hearing that iconic
yes.
theme, iconic score, like
Mhm,
in IMAX was just phenomenal. And like another thing, like you can play that theme for people who have never seen Jaws and they know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
They know exactly, like they might not know it's from Jaws, but they know it has to do with the shark. Like something's coming. Like, so for me, I have to go Jaws. I just think it's one of the best made overall films of all time. And there was no way that I wasn't putting this really, really high in my top list of horror movies of all time. Do you remember seeing Jaws at all for the first time, or?
I don't remember seeing it for the first time. I remember just like choppy bits of watching it, but basically it's like a slasher movie. Jaws is a slasher.
Pretty much.
Or the
That's the way I
shark
look
is a
at it.
slasher. I don't know if you hear that theme song, you get scared. So how is it not a horror? And that show, The Scariest Movie Moments of All Time, has
Oh.
a Jaws thing in it. So there you go. It is a horror movie. Done.
Thank you.
Solve the debate.
Done. If it's in that show, Marie says it's a damn horror movie. Like there's no debate about it. Like I'm going back and I'm commenting on every comment. I'm gonna be like, my friend Marie said, if it's in this show on Shudder, it's a fucking horror movie, and you're gonna respect what Marie says. And I'm not gonna have I'm not push back if you want to, and you'll be unfriended. Son of bitches.
Blocked.
Blocked.
That was a good one.
Thank you. Okay, top 5. It's time.
This is when it's real.
100%. I'm starting to sweat a little bit over here.
Ooh,
all right.
pumped.
What do you have at number 5?
My number 5 favorite horror movie is Hereditary.
So good. So good.
So, again, one of the best newer horror movies, I would say. I remember watching the movie for the first time, and it stayed with me for 3 or 4 days afterwards. It was one of the first newer horror movies that I watched where I had to sleep with a light on. And it's not even that there's like no jump scares in it. It's actual disturbing fear and terror, and just the images and the color palette. There's like music and sound through so much of the movie in the background that you don't even really realize is there. And it's creating a whole feel and vibe and like tension. And I think that movie is artistic as fuck. To me, it made me feel like a modern day The Shining, because it was so artistically done and because it was so uncomfortable. And it gave the same sense of dread and discomfort as The Shining did for me. So to me, it was for all those reasons, that's how it made me feel. And I think Hereditary is a film. It's not a movie. It is a film.
No, that's a good way to put it. I really enjoyed Hereditary too. Like I feel like, I don't know, it is one of those movies that really sticks out. And for everything that you said, so I would agree with that. That's a really good one. I don't know if I expected you to put that in your top 5.
Yeah, top 5.
But that's a hell of a choice. Really, really, really good movie. And you're gonna get no arguments from me on that. I mean,
the acting is amazing too. The acting, Toni Collette, it's like I feel everything.
Yes, it's absolutely phenomenal. He's amazing in it. It is one of those modern day horror movies that is really close to being perfect. Like it's so good.
Yes, it is.
It
is.
Right. Number 5 for me is A Nightmare on Elm Street. The original Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, the Nightmare on Elm Street kind of, I'm in the same boat with it as far as a franchise when it comes to Friday the 13th. Just not the biggest fan of the entire franchise. But there are like A Nightmare on Elm Street, like the first film, the third film, Dream Warriors. Those 2 movies are really, really iconic to me, and I think are really, really good horror films. But this first one is so damn good, and it got me thinking when I was like really looking at this list. I hate to bring it up, but we talk about Halloween Ends and like how like screen time, how little Michael Myers is actually on the screen.
Yes,
and I think Freddy Krueger is, if not just as much on the screen as this, if not a little less. But it goes like a good point I'm trying to make is it doesn't matter the time that they're on the screen, it's the impact that you make of that character. And the impact that they made with Freddy Krueger in that first movie to where he became an instant horror icon was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Wes Craven, for everything that he did in the horror genre, was just absolutely phenomenal. And he kicked off this horror icon with Freddy. I mean, burnt face, the knives for hands. Outside of Halloween 2 and one more movie I'm going to talk about, I would put this as number 3 that really scared me as a kid for the whole sense of I was afraid to go to sleep because I felt like if I went to sleep, Freddy, I would die.
Yeah.
Like, so the mindset of making a new horror slasher to where somebody like Freddy Krueger can kill you in your dreams is so scary. You got to sleep. You can't avoid it.
Basic human function. You got to do it.
So it's just like a matter of time. Like when I pass out, am I going to die? Like literally, that's what scared me so much. And I think it did such a good job. Again, just overall in that movie, the cinematography, the so many good scenes as far as like shots in that movie, like when Nancy is laying in the tub and Freddy puts his claws up out of the bath, and Freddy coming through the backside of the wall, looking down. And
my eye, like
yes. So
I just did a freaking Ringu eye at you right now.
I'm screen capturing that and putting it.
Please don't. Oh my God, no! Please don't!
I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, that's my number 5. So good.
What's up? Just getting stressed.
No, I'm not stressed. I'm just looking at this list and like I'm just remembering like how much I was shuffling movies around. These next 4 I didn't change at all. They've always been my top 4, but the rest of them I'm just shuffling. I'm like, hold on, no, I like this one a little more. But do I really watch it that much? Like, no, I got to move that. It was tough. It was tough.
It's hard to pick your favorite movies because it's like, well, this movie's better made and more well done than this movie, but I watched this one more. So it's like, how do you? I know. So I was trying to factor that into everything. It's tough.
This is the Mount Rushmore now.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
Mount Rushmore. What's your Mount Rushmore of horror movies? Let's go.
Okay. Number 4 is The Shining. You're just silent looking at me like
number 4 is what?
Number 4 is The Shining for me.
Like The Shining?
The Shining. Why? Are you stunned because it's low, or are you stunned because
it's a little
is that
low.
Too low for you? Okay, well, okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Well,
I want to know everything that you have written down. I know it's a book, so I'm ready for it.
Well, it's jot notes, but The Shining to me has the most iconic horror movie scenes ever, from Here's Johnny to like Wendy's freaking cigarette ash. Like, it's just
the longest cigarette ash in history belongs to Wendy.
I know. And that cigarette ash, the tension and suspense alone in that scene, like, come on. So I think The Shining has the most iconic horror movie scenes, followed closely by Nightmare on Elm Street. There's just so many. Okay, so my notes. The Shining. Stanley Kubrick just creates this feeling of uneasiness you don't even know how he's doing it. It's just the way his directing style, the way things are placed. There's a lot of really centered, direct scenes in this movie, which is kind of weird because it's like everything's framed. So there's like really, like you're looking at a scene, the bathtub scene, perfectly centered. Like there's so many like right in the middle, and I don't know why that makes me uncomfortable, but it does.
Well, Well, to your point, he does such a good job with that, and to be particular on the camera's work, everything that you said, it's just the centering of stuff, but he knows
Yeah.
when to not center stuff as well. Like
Hmm.
when he's like um taking the axe to the door and the camera is following the axe back and forth.
Yes.
So well done, so
I
good.
know. And then when he comes through the door, again, it's like dead center. I don't know. It's just
Yes.
there's an ambiance of that in that movie that is just this air of I'm uncomfortable. I don't know why, but I am. And the suspense and like again, there's like no really scares. It's just a series of scenes that make you feel so uneasy. And the I'm all about color palette in movies that can change the complete vibe. And the colors in this movie are so intense and so how do I say it? Like the rug, like my pillow back here. It's just like I can't explain it. Like it's just like
I
these
know
deep
exactly what
colors
you mean. Yeah.
everywhere, and it's just they jump out at you and make you feel like, oh, I don't know. It's like these colors are nice, but I feel not good. It's kind of like this weird feeling. I don't know. The Shining is again on here. Like I say, it's a film, not a movie. It's a feeling.
Yeah, everything that you said, I agree with 100%. I would say there's maybe a handful of movies that I still watch to this day that really creep me out. Like if I
Yeah.
have so like for The Shining, like I watched it not too long ago. If I have like if I'm watching it in my living room, I have all the lights off, my surround sound on. It's a movie that I still get goosebumps on.
Hmm.
A movie that I just feel very uneasy about in a good way, of course.
Yes.
And I've seen that movie at least 100 times, like no exaggeration. Like
Hmm.
it's one of my favorite of all time. I'm kind of showing my hand here, but I just feel like while we're on the subject, like I just think it's when a movie can have that effect on you, um, still after seeing it so many times, I think really shows just how impactful that movie is to you. And it's such an impactful movie overall. And like you said, it's a film, not a movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just like again, I go back to the camera work and when Danny
Hmm.
is riding his little bike all through the hotel, and like he goes onto the hardwood floor, then onto the carpet, then onto the hardwood floor. It's
I was
so
just
well
thinking.
done. It's so
Hmm.
well done. And then when he's turning the corner and nothing happens, and he turns the corner and nothing happens, and he turns the corner and there are the two twins, right? Like, come and play with us, Danny. Oh, it's so well done. And I mean, just cast it really, really well as well.
Hmm. Mm.
Yeah. I mean, Jack Nicholson did absolutely phenomenal. Like that scene where he was at the typewriter and just went off on Wendy.
Oh.
So good, so well done. And um, I was watching there's a behind the scenes video clip on YouTube. It's like the making of it or something like that. And like what Jack Nicholson did before like they went action wise was just really, really like it was one of those scenes where he said like he definitely had to get into like he would like jump around, walk back and
Hmm.
forth and talk to himself and slap himself and like it's just such a well done movie, so good, and I'm glad that that is in your on your Mount Rushmore because if it wasn't, I'd
Yeah.
probably not have you on again. No,
Blocked.
I'm just
Blocked.
I'm just joking, everybody, just joking. But
Well, and
I'm really glad that's in your top four. Like
oh,
it's such a good. I'm glad we agree on that. Such a good movie.
that movie is art. It is. And
Yes,
the way Stanley Kubrick pushed Shelley Duvall, oh man.
yes,
Like 134 takes on one scene or something like that. And I
yeah,
know it's terrible the way he did to her, but he did
very,
it
yeah.
and it worked. It worked. It made her look and feel and seem exasperated. And yeah, she was worn out for real.
Oh yeah, I mean, I haven't heard from her really at all in a long time, but I just
Hmm.
saw. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. I just saw today on my way home from work. Um, she's returning to horror. Um,
Ooh.
it's let's see. After so this is what Bloody Disgusting said on their Instagram post. After a 20-year absence, we've learned that Shelley Duvall has joined the cast of the werewolf horror movie, The Forest Hills. It's about a man tormented by nightmarish visions after enduring head trauma during a hiking trip. Duvall will play the mother of the mentally and emotionally disturbed Rico, who serves as his inner voice. So she's
Ooh.
she's returning to horror after a 20-year absence. So very
Interesting.
intriguing. Yes. Okay, so my number 4 is sticking with Wes Craven again. Scream. I think that's pretty simple. I think I don't know. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest Scream fans out there. But I feel like out of its, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of this 5th movie, out of like all 5 movies, I think it's like the best like consistent horror franchise. Like now, granted, maybe that's because there's not 12 or 13 installments into it. So, that plays a big factor. The less movies you have, the better of a chance that most of them are going to be good. I mean, it just all depends. But I just think Scream has done a really good job at being really, really good across the board. But especially this first film for me, I think it's one of the best openings to a horror movie of all time. Of course, I was super young when this came out, so I didn't see it in theaters, but I remember talking to people who went to see this movie in theaters, and they kind of mismarketed it. Not in a bad way, though. Like, they mismarketed it with Drew Barrymore, right? Like, she was the girl at that time, and to kill her off in that first scene, like, how ballsy do you have to be to do that? You're putting a lot of faith like into this young cast. Neve Campbell, you knew her from like Party of Five and other stuff like that, but that's a lot that's just a gamble to me.
She wanted that. Drew Barrymore specifically requested that, right? So she's like, I will be in it, but I want to be like killed off like right away.
Pretty much, yeah. And I was actually watching an interview she did not too long ago. She's in the new Scream movie, technically. Like, so there's this high school scene where they're at the school and the principal comes across the loudspeaker and it's her talking. And I never even knew that, but like I love the fact that like people still give her a lot of props for that iconic scene, because anytime that Scream is brought up to her, she just gets the biggest smile on her face. And like I don't know, that's just really, really good to see. But again, what Wes Craven did with this film, it was different. It wasn't, we all know Ghostface. There's a bunch of people throughout the films that don that mask. So I don't know if Ghostface will ever be like, well, he is. Let me say, he's not going to be as good as Michael Myers in my eyes, or Jason, or Freddy, because I feel like that they're immortal in a sense. But Ghostface is like that. Ghostface in general as a character is very, very iconic. One of the biggest icons in the horror franchise world, period. Like, there's no debating that. So, but that first movie I just thought was so well done. And I remember it just seeing it for the first time. I remember I had the biggest crush on Neve Campbell. And I'm going to say this now. She is my favorite final girl of all time. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis a lot. Like, there's nothing against Jamie Lee Curtis. She's right there. But I've always just loved Neve Campbell so much. I think in every film she's been such a fucking badass. And she's super hot as well. That helps. But in all,
because she's Canadian, that's why. Because she's Canadian.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's exactly why. If I'm being honest, yeah.
All those ketchup chips.
Like, I'm like, Nev, how you say so skinny? And looks so good for so long. Those goddamn ketchup chips is what did it, Mike. Those ketchup chips. Yeah. But I remember watching this movie for the first time, and it confused the hell out of me. Like, I remember watching it, and I was like, oh, it's definitely Billy. It's definitely the boyfriend. And then he doesn't get caught. Like, his cell phone record's clear, and I'm like, okay, well, who the fuck is it now? Like, it's definitely not him. And then
Mhm.
something else happened in that movie to where I'm like, oh, I think they were in the video store, and like he just went crazy mode in the video store, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely the killer. And then he gets stabbed up in the room, and I'm like, okay, well, he's not the fuck. Who the fuck is the killer? Like, I remember getting frustrated, like this is like ridiculous. And then just that twist at the end, I'm like, I knew it, damn it, I knew it. But then again, I'm like, no, Michael, you didn't know it, because you would have stuck with it from the beginning. But it was just so well done. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so rewatchable for me. It's an easy watch. So yeah, Scream is number 4 on my top 10 horror list of all time.
I think it's just also Ghostface so iconic, but it's he, she, whatever is the most, well, they're human. It's a human.
Yes.
All the other slashers, you're right, have these weird like immortal type things, but the Scream was like, no, it could be anybody. It could be anybody, you know, and it's like they're not like anything special. It just could be anybody coming out to kill you in a mask, and that's freaky.
No, definitely freaky. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Nice.
Are you a fan of Scream, by the way?
I mean, I've seen the first one, I've seen the second one. I didn't hate it. I'm like, yeah, this is good, but it's not like anywhere in my
I got
top.
you. Gotcha.
But I still think it's good.
Well, thanks.
But
Murray.
I wasn't like, whoa.
Whoa.
I'm older than you though, so maybe that's why. Maybe it came out and I was like, well, no, because Hell H2O came out around the same time.
True. And H2O and Scream mirror each other a lot. I mean, well, Kevin Williamson, of course, involved in both films. So, okay. Top 3. Top 3.
I feel like my top 3. Okay, my top 2 are you're gonna. Okay, anyway.
Shit!
You're gonna be confused. You're gonna be like, what? Okay, my top 3 is my number 3. Sorry, is the Blair Witch Project.
Oh.
And I probably watch the Blair Witch Project once every week, once every 2 weeks, all year round.
Say that one more time.
I watch the Blair Witch Project probably like 100 times a year. I put it on to fall asleep all the time because it's like my comfort movie. It's my number one comfort movie because you
fall asleep to horror movies?
Oh, who does that? Psychos.
Me.
Me too.
I love it.
But the Blair Witch Project is perfect because there's no music, no score. There's a little bit of music in the beginning in a car radio. There's no music, there's no loud noises, there's no jump scares, there's no anything like that. You can just put it on, watch it. I love horror movies that take place in a forest. I love found footage. And this started a whole genre. This opened up this genre, a new genre of horror that to me, I think is brilliant. I think it's extremely difficult to make a good found footage movie. The acting has to seem like you're not acting. And you have to be so realistic. And these 3 in this movie are brilliant. They're perfect. The making of this movie, the marketing for this movie, they created a website about the Blair Witch. They created a website about this place. It didn't exist. People thought it was real. They thought these people yes. They thought these people actually were dead. Yes. And like, what other, you can't do that anymore. Like, you just cannot do that.
No, like I literally thought it was real until I found out that it wasn't real. Like
lots of people.
And let's be honest, the marketing for horror movies have just been so basic. Like the one that really stepped out to me was Smile recently when they were like putting these actors at MLB games, like behind, I don't know if you've seen it, but like they would put these actors behind like the pitcher's plate and they would just stand there and smile with a big ass smile on their face.
Love it.
But like, that is exactly what you need to do. That's why one of the reasons you just beat out a horror icon, you know what I mean? In the box office, your marketing was phenomenal. And I think about the Blair Witch Project and everything that the marketing went into. Granted, it was probably expensive as fuck to do so, but it paid off in a huge way, monumental way. I mean, it still gets talked about to this day. And like you said, opened up to a new genre of horror.
And the movie focuses on your imagination. Like, you never see the Blair Witch. It's just your imagination, which I think, to me, I was so happy I was like, I don't want to see it because I want to picture it the way I want to picture it. Because sometimes the grand reveal of a monster or whatever in a movie, you're just like, oh, like whatever. And Michael, the behind the scenes of this movie is, so what they did is these people didn't like really know each other. They put them in this forest. They gave them a GPS and said, you have to be at these places this day. So they would go to a place, they had their own little tubes, and they'd read their tubes, whatever it was written, and they didn't tell the other people what was on it. So the other characters didn't know what these people were going to do. It was like improv.
Man.
And
That
they
is
fed
so
them
genius.
They fed them less and less and less each day, so they became irritable for real. This movie is, oh my god, you guys, the Blair Witch Project.
Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know if my
No.
stomach can handle watching it, but I might just go watch behind the scenes of it.
Yeah,
Are you kidding? Wow.
No, I've watched the like interview with Heather Donahue, the main chick.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say, I was gonna say I wasn't questioning you. I was just like questioning like
are
the
you
universe.
kidding?
Yeah, like are you kidding? Like that's so genius, and it's stuff like that doesn't happen these days.
No, they didn't know what was going to happen themselves. Like they had speakers placed in the forest, and they would just play stuff, and so it's like genuine fear. They didn't know. There was one time where like when the producers was like running through the forest, like this all white getup, and when they're freaking out seeing something, they're like, "What the fuck is that?" Because they did not know.
Yeah.
It's just, I love it so much.
No,
it's tattooed on my arm, you guys. I don't know if it's gonna be on YouTube, but I have the stick figure on my arm. I love the Blair Witch Project.
No, that's amazing. Oh yeah, good for you. I knew that was going to be on your list somewhere, but we were getting so close. I'm like, there's no way. Like it's got to be. It's got to be. So glad to see it's on your list. And as you said, it opened everybody's eyes to a new type of horror. So, all right, number 3 for me is gonna be, I've talked about this before. It's the scariest movie I've ever seen of all time. And it kind of goes back, I think, to what you said for your last movie, I believe. The first movie you saw as a kid. This was the first horror movie that I saw as a kid. And it's Stephen King's It, the original It.
Oh, Michael, I just watched the first original It like last week.
No, you didn't.
For the first time.
It's like 9.5 hours long.
I broke it up, but yeah.
No, I'm joking. It's like 3.5. It's so long because it came out as a miniseries. But I never knew that because I just remember my mom having the two remember the two VHSs? Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
I just remember pulling it down. I'm like, a fucking clown? She wasn't home. I'm like, I'm watching this. Mistake. Fucking mistake. Well, in a way. At the time, it was a mistake because it creeped the hell out of me. Like, I thought they did a really, really good job with the new It. And I understand why people would say that Pennywise is more scarier for them. But for me, it's always going to be Tim Curry's It. I think the simplicity of the look of Tim Curry's clown or Pennywise in this movie is just so creepy. I mean, it's just like a clown you would see at the fair. Like,
exactly.
And I think, and that's what really creeped me out as a kid. And the fact that he would kind of prey on each individual's fear in a sense, I thought was super scary. I love the fact how they broke this up as you had them as kids, which those kid scenes, that first half of the movie is perfect in my eyes. Like it just takes me back. Like I don't know. I love something about the 80s and the kids. I know that movie wasn't portrayed in the 80s, but I'm just saying, like, just that whole, like, I don't know, that whole small town type of vibe, the Derry type of vibe. But this is one of the movies, this movie, The Shining, and The Conjuring are the 3 movies that if I turn the lights off and I watch those movies, it gives me chills. And it really, 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 really creeps me out. So, number 3, I'm going with Tim Curry's It. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about the remake, I really like the remake as well. Well, the first installment in particular.
Same.
Pennywise is very much a horror monster. He's scary in the new one, but you're right. In the original one, he's like more humanized, more like trusting, which is
Yes.
scary because kids will more likely go to him than go to the other Pennywise.
Mhm.
And I also found the comparison with the two that I actually really loved the friendship and the connection between the kids, especially when they grew to be adults. In the
Yes.
original one, it felt more
Yes.
genuine. It felt more. I was like, wow, they really love each other. These people, like, this is so great. And that was, I think, better in the original one than the second one.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mhm.
because I feel like you each as a kid, like you see them go through their own struggles in the original one as well. Like
Mhm.
obviously in the new one, they're doing a film, so you got to crunch all that down into a certain time. So in the original, you had time to explore what those kids were going through. You got
Mhm.
to see them connect and go up against not only Pennywise but the town bully as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely. But again, brings me back to being a kid playing outside, having those connections with your friends. Like
Yeah.
when a movie can catch me like that, like where I can feel like, oh, I've been there before, and then just drop this horror type, you know what I mean, right there, slap dab in the middle, like that's the stuff that I really connect with. Um, that's why I connect with Stranger Things so much.
Yeah.
That's why I like, I don't know, just all of that, all of the kids stuff. I think is it's hard to cast really, really good kids. And they did a tremendous job in that movie.
Hmm.
I'm glad you
Absolutely.
watched it. I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah. I had
Did
to like yeah.
did you like it? Did you like it?
Yes, I did a
Okay.
lot.
Good.
Yes, a
Good.
lot.
Good.
It actually also made me appreciate the remakes more because I thought, especially with the first one, that the remake was really well done and true to the original.
Very. And I think Stephen King
Mhm,
said that himself. And I've talked
mhm,
to people um that have been involved in the old one, in some type of way, and they pay respect and pay homage to this new one. I think a lot of people are on the same page with the second film,
mm.
but that first one, that first remake, chapter one, was phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
All right, top
All right.
two.
Okay.
I, I know what one is. I don't know, or one of those two. I just don't know what the other is. So I'm excited to hear what that is. What's your number two, Marie?
Halloween. That's number 2, not number 1.
Shut the front door.
Did you almost spit out your drink? I just saw that.
Yes, but then I realized I had my expensive ass fucking MacBook, and I'm like, ugh. So let me tell you, I have never dropped so much money in my life than I had on this laptop. When he rung, I've had it for a few years now, but when he told me the price of that, I was like, just take it. Just take it. I've never dropped, even to this day, it's the most money I've ever dropped. Now it's worth every penny.
Yeah.
Um, but God, that was tough. So yeah,
Oh, did
I'm not spitting my drink out or nothing. I treat this baby with respect. Damn it,
you should. She deserves it.
she deserves it. But number two.
Yes.
Okay, I really thought this was gonna be your number one.
I know you did. I thought it maybe was too, but I'm like, okay, you're gonna be shocked at my number 1.
Oh my God. Okay, what do you, let's
Here
talk
we
about
go.
Halloween. I'll go ahead and say it. Halloween's my number one. Let's go ahead and
Okay,
talk about this. So
just do it. Okay.
everybody knows Halloween is my number one film, but I wanted to go ahead and throw that out there so while we're already on Halloween, we could just talk about it. So I'll let you
Okay.
have the floor.
Okay, so Halloween at Creepshow was my first ever horror movie that I watched, and it kind of like opened up my love for it. But Halloween is it really solidified the love of horror and like the dark vibe. Michael Myers has been my favorite person in a movie forever. I absolutely love Michael Myers. That's why Halloween Ends affected me so hard. Because he's Bay. He's I,
And it
I,
and
and
he was treated
I,
like a little bitch.
he was like a little bitch. So I grew up on Star Wars. Star Wars, I grew like that's one of my most favorite franchises in the world. But Halloween, I think, this is hard for me to say.
Oh, this is juicy. I'm clipping this.
Okay, Halloween, I think it's probably. Oh, now I'm debating in my mind. It's almost like slightly more important to me than Star Wars is, even though I have lots of memories with Star Wars, lots of connections with my brother and everything. But Halloween, because I feel like horror is such a deep rooted part of my being and my soul, that Halloween is just like this coveted franchise, and number one started it all for me. And I know I think I said this before in one of our old episodes, but my dad would take me every single weekend, summer holidays, and he would rent for me at a movie store Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And my friend and I would watch it on our sleepovers. We watched them all like all night long. And it's just so precious. And Halloween number one is just game changing. It was a game changer. It changed who I am. It's a part of who I am. That movie is a part of who I am. And I wouldn't be me today if it wasn't for Halloween number one.
You're gonna make me cry,
right, man? Like you feel the same.
You're gonna make me cry. Yes, I feel the same. And it's crazy because like I feel like I have like I'll go like the original Halloween, as much as I love it. Like I would say I watched H2O and probably Halloween 4 more.
Me too.
But it's not my favorite. The original Halloween is my favorite. So as much as I watch those, when I go back and I watch the original, every single time I'm like, this is why I love this movie. This is why this movie is my absolute favorite. One, I said this with H2O. It's an easy watch. It's not too long. It's not too short. The way that they start out the movie, the POV shot, all of that. And then like, I remember as a kid, what always stuck out to me wasn't like Michael Myers himself, but John Carpenter's score in this movie. I remember one of the things that creeped me out most in this movie would be like when Michael would go like to the side and he was looking through the window at his sister, and his sister and her boyfriend went upstairs, and when Michael came back out from around the house and he looked up at the window and that score and the light shut off, that still gives me chills to this day, because that score right there just creeped the hell out of me. And just like the score throughout, when Michael would like pop up and like it was just so done so perfectly. The chase scene is one of my favorites of all time. I saw something today. Somebody posted on Twitter, like, you know how people just fuck around, and they were like, I'm still pissed off at Tommy for taking his sweet ass time coming down the steps and letting Lori in that house. Yeah. Like, okay. And they just walking so slowly. I'm like, yes, I feel that so much. Tommy did not want to get out of bed with Lindsay. That's exactly what it was.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's just such a well done film. Again, Michael Myers not on screen that much, but the impact that they make of Michael Myers in that character, especially what they do towards the end of that movie, there's no debating that he is the best horror icon in my eyes of all time. Yes, no debate. If you want to debate, I usually say bring it on, but go on somewhere else with that. Go on, blocked. Take it somewhere else. Michael Myers is the best horror icon of all time. Damn it,
of all time.
Yeah, that's probably, if you're listening to this in your headphones, I'm sorry. I probably just blew your eardrums out.
That deserves to be shouted from the rooftops. So whatever, and it's 100% correct. And I just want to say one thing about like the score. The Halloween theme, I think, is probably right under the Jaws theme for the most iconic horror movie
100%.
And they're so simple. They're the most simple song. And that's just going to show with horror and stuff. Simplicity is so effective. So effective. So
you gave me an idea for a podcast topic, and it's going to be the top 10 horror scores of all time.
Okay.
Because that one you got on your shirt is pretty iconic too.
Yeah, and the one I got on my pillow back there is really iconic too.
Oh God, absolutely.
That's a horrifying one.
As soon as that starts playing, I get goosebumps.
Me too.
Which is immediately during the movie. Same with Halloween. Both of
Mhm.
those are immediately when the movie comes on, which I love. Okay, I'm gonna go number 2 because
Yes.
I'm waiting. You are the guest, and I cannot wait to hear your number 1.
Oh.
And we've already talked about number 2. For me, it's The Shining.
Mhm.
For everything that we went through. One of the best horror movies of all time. The acting in it is phenomenal. The camera work in it is phenomenal. The score, like you said, absolutely iconic. Again, one of those movies that still gives me goosebumps to this day.
Mhm.
And what's crazy about it is it plays on your psyche, is what it does.
Yes,
I
psychological horror.
Yeah, I remember my first few times seeing the movie, and as creeped out as I was, I never understood what The Shining was. Like I just didn't get it because I was so
Mhm.
young the first few times I saw this movie, and then I started to understand it more and more and more, and I figured out what it was. And then I remember Doctor Sleep came out, and I
Mm.
felt like I really love Doctor Sleep, by the way, but I thought that Doctor Sleep really dived in to what The Shining itself actually was, and like the effect
Mhm.
that it had on said person. And it just made me appreciate that Shining that much more. I haven't read the book. I had the book. I just have not read it. I'm not the biggest reader. But I do plan on reading it before I die. Um, but yeah, I mean, we've talked about it to nauseum. The Shining, number 2 for me, absolutely iconic. Now,
Beautiful.
Marie, the floor
Oh
is
shit.
yours for your number 1.
I'm nervous to say
It's
it now because
it's
it's not
it's not
Halloween.
it's not Muppets in Space or some shit like that, is it?
No, it's Ernest Scared Stupid. No, it's kidding. It's not.
I thought you
It's
were
not.
serious. You
Nope.
had some confidence behind that. I'm like,
I
okay.
know. That was good acting. Okay, so I really thought about this. Actually, it's kind of funny because I didn't really think that hard about it, but I really kind of after second guessed myself because I'm like, is this my favorite? But personally, I'm not saying it's the best, but for me, it is my absolute favorite. I think it might be in my top like 3 favorite movies of all time.
Oh, I love this.
I and people are gonna be like, "What? No." And you know what? That's fine, but it's my favorite. This is for me,
Yes,
okay? I
yes.
treasure this movie.
You don't have to explain nothing to them.
Yes, I do.
It's,
In this day and age, people are like, "Blocks,
that's true.
blocks."
True.
Okay. My number 1 favorite horror movie of all time is the Evil Dead remake.
Really,
Yes.
really. Like
Yeah.
you're serious. You're
Yep.
being serious,
I'm being 100% serious.
Marie. I
Mhm.
love it.
Okay.
I love
Okay,
it.
that's good. That's good. Okay, so I love Evil Dead.
Mhm.
Again, I have a Necronomicon pillow back there. I love Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2 is good too. Army of Darkness is good too. Evil Dead, the original one, I love. Out of those 3, Evil Dead, the first one's my favorite. When they were making the Evil Dead remake, anytime people make a remake, it's always scary. But I think what they did with this one was they did not have Ash in it. It wasn't like the same storyline. It was a different type of story, but kept the same feelings of like the friends going to a cabin, whatever, but the story was different. That was smart because then you're not expecting it to be, well, where's Ash? Well, why isn't it a guy with his girlfriend? Like you're just not, it's totally different
Yeah.
in a sense. So like a girl with a drug addiction, like it just was different. But I felt like it paid perfect tribute to the original Evil Dead and also Evil Dead 2 because there's elements of both of them in there. To me, this movie has absolutely everything. It has fun, gore, genuine scariness, rewatchability. For me, I watch this movie probably once a month at least, even not in spooky season. It has humor, darkness, the writing's good, the acting's good, the directing is good, the cinematography is good, the makeup's good, the effects are good. To me, this is like a perfect movie. And I remember when first time I watched it, I had this feeling in me where I was like, I was just like, I was so excited and it like aroused all these things. I was just like, Oh damn, this is my movie. This is my movie. It's perfect to me. It's a perfect movie.
I love that for you. I've never seen it.
Even if you have not seen have you seen Evil Dead?
No. I
Okay,
want to know
even if
something
you
really weird though.
yes.
I've met the guy who played Ash.
You had Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. Yeah, that's
Was he
his name.
nice or was he a dick?
No, he was super nice. Everybody was going. I was at a convention. I was there for
Good.
I was there for the Halloween people and the Scream people. But
Mhm.
Bruce Campbell, like he was the big guy there. Like that, he was like their main attraction for that weekend. And I was like, okay. But there's a lot of
Oh.
love. There's a lot of love out there for him. So I
Well,
just I just haven't given it a chance, and I need to.
the thing is you can watch the remake without having seen the originals. But it might not mean as much because to me it means a little bit more because I've watched the originals like so long ago that uh, it had that like nostalgia feeling and the way they pay tribute to it. I really like that. So that might not be there for you, but it doesn't matter because it's an amazing movie. And there's a scene in that movie from the original one that they kept in that they wouldn't do today and they still kept it in. And I'm so effing happy that they did.
Okay, so I'm gonna watch the original first then because I want to be able to appreciate that.
Okay, it's a lot more like cheesy, goofy, but it's still
That's fine.
good.
That's fine. I love stuff like that, especially when they
Okay.
do stuff like that and it makes sense.
Mhm.
Like they've done. I know you're not the biggest fan of these new Halloween movies, but they've done some stuff that go back to the original that I really enjoy. And they say some stuff in like kills that like I'm like, okay, you can leave that on the table. Like you shouldn't gone there. So when they do stuff like that that goes back to the original and it
Mhm.
works, it's so awesome. Like
Mhm.
like for Doctor Sleep, when they go back to the have you seen Doctor Sleep?
Mhm.
Okay, so when they go back to the Overlook at the end of the movie, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my god, such a good callback. Like if it
Yeah.
works, it works. If it doesn't,
Mhm.
doesn't work. So I'm glad to hear that that's something that you appreciate and love about it.
Okay, so there's factors in the first Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 that are both in the remake. I just want to warn you, most people go crazy over Evil Dead 2. They prefer that over Evil Dead 1. I don't because I think for me Evil Dead 1 is more horror focused and Evil Dead 2 is comedy. Like it is so silly. But to me it's like too silly. But there's still
Yeah.
scenes in it that I love. Like do you know about Evil Dead and like the chainsaw and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an Evil Dead 2. So, but then
Okay.
they call back to a whole bunch of that, and oh god, the remake's so good, Michael. Oh my gosh,
Do you play the video games?
I haven't played the video games. I don't have it yet.
Interesting.
I should get it.
No, I mean, I just heard good things about the newest one they made.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's
But
good.
yeah, so I didn't know if you had a chance to play it or not. But I'll add those movies to my list. I don't really have too much planned over the next few days, and I'm somebody that'll watch horror movies outside. I mean, I watch horror movies outside of October. It's just a ritual for all of us horror fans. So
Yeah,
it's definitely something I'll definitely check out. But
good.
I'm glad you have that at number one. I figured we would be the
Different.
same. Yeah, I appreciate different. I appreciate
Yeah,
different. So I don't know how long this podcast is going to be. How
two
long you
hours.
pretty close. I mean, we did go to a bathroom break and grab another
Yes.
drink, but I would say at least close to like an hour and 40 minutes, hour and
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes. So it was a really, really good podcast. It's crazy because I was like, oh, we're going to be able to talk about these 10 movies and just are we going to be able to fill the time? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. But it's
You must be going like, oh my god, oh my god. Michael, you don't want to talk about your first one just for a little bit? You don't want to say anything
well,
else about Halloween? Nothing at all?
true. And it's like any podcast I jump on to, like if I'm a guest, they'll be like, all right, we're gonna keep this podcast of right around an hour. Or I'm like,
Mm.
I'll tell the guest, like, okay, we're gonna keep it right around an hour. If I'm not interviewing like somebody like who's famous and like is on a time limit, like it never works out. Like
Mm.
always goes over schedule. It's just the way
Mm-hmm.
that it is when you talk about passionate stuff and stuff that you love.
Yep.
You're never gonna fit it into the time frame that you want, unless you want the show to be boring or the conversation to be boring. So,
Yeah.
okay, before we wrap up, I want to know two movies.
Oh,
Could no, go ahead. No, go ahead. What are you about to do?
No, I was waiting. I thought
Oh.
maybe it was like the honorable mention thing.
Oh, so all right, we're gonna do honorable mentions, and then we're
Oh.
going to do 2 movies that everybody always talks about, but you have not seen.
Okay.
All right, so let's go with your honorable mentions. You can name like up to 5 or 6, whatever you want to name.
I'll just do one. I'll do 2.
2. Let's do 2.
I'll do 2.
2 for this. I'll do
Okay.
1. No, wait. I'll do 2. Wait, maybe 3.
I'll go fast. So my first
No rush.
honorable mention is House of the Devil, which is a Ty West movie, and it came out a while ago. And it is filmed like it was filmed like it was filmed in the 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first watched it, I didn't recognize any of the actors, and I was like, no, this was made in the 80s. It had to be late 70s, early 80s. And then I looked it up, and it wasn't, because he films it with actual film. And the cinematography is so. Have you ever seen House of the Devil?
No, I haven't, but I'm a big Ty West fan. So Ty West did X, and he did Pearl, and it's shot on so I know exactly what you're talking about. It's amazing.
So this movie is strictly tension suspense based until like the last like 5 minutes. But I remember this movie, I was just like tense the whole entire time, more so than I think I've maybe ever been in any movie. I don't know. I was just like, something's gonna happen. What's gonna happen? Like the whole time. That is an honorable mention. I know that maybe some people could watch it. I really enjoy slow burns. I love it. Okay. I love slow burns. I don't really get bored. I'm just like, yeah, I see where they're going. I can look at things in movies that aren't even story based. Like I can be like, well, I really love the cinematography. Oh, I like how they put this there. Oh, I like the color palette. So this movie to me is like that. And my second honorable mention is Willow Creek, which is a found footage horror movie also. And it is essentially the Bigfoot version of the Blair Witch.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. And there's a scene in the movie that is one scene, one take, one shot, still for 17 minutes straight.
Holy shit. You know how hard that is to do? And be effective with it?
Without a cut. They only filmed this scene twice, and I don't think they used the first one because the actors actually started freaking out and crying. Because again, they didn't know what was happening around them. They didn't know what was coming. Yeah. They didn't know. Well, yeah, so it's legit. And sorry, I was gonna say something else about that scene. Probably just that. Yeah, it was just this one scene, and the suspense for that too. I was just like, I remember I was like plugging my ears the whole time. I'm like, something big, like something's gonna happen. I'm like, something's gonna. It was very stressful. You felt the stress of them in that moment, and I love that movie. And again, it's a very slow burn. It's a very. I talked about it on my old podcast, and someone messaged me. They're like, my wife and I tried to watch it twice, and we couldn't because we thought it was too boring. Shit. And I'm like, oh well, I loved it.
Hell yeah.
It's not for everybody, but that's my honorable mention as well.
So the 2 that were outside of my top 10 was Halloween 4 and The Exorcist. I think those kind of speak for themselves. I think you explained The Exorcist pretty well. So I'll name just obviously I'll name those as honorable mentions, but I'll name another one that I really enjoyed, and that's going to be Sinister. Yeah, I really enjoyed Sinister. I thought it was very, very creepy, very, very scary. And also, I'll throw another one in there. It Follows. I remember seeing It Follows like on Netflix all the time, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Like, I'm not clicking on it. And then like one night, everybody was just talking about it and raving about it, and I was like, And then I watched it, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Now, I don't know if it's probably nowhere close to my top 10, if I'm being honest with you, but I just wanted to kind of throw a curveball in there. I feel like everything kind of close to my top 10 is like really, really popular. And I like your honorable mentions, maybe kind of switch it up a little bit because I'd never heard of those 2 movies. And I'm like, I want I know It Follows is very popular, but I don't know if it's ever in anybody's like top 10 or anything like that. So I was like, I'll throw that in there. And I threw that in there because it's a movie that I didn't think I would like, and actually ended up really enjoying it. It was different. It was really different.
It is different.
So if it's different and it's good and not different in Halloween Ends, if it's good, I can appreciate it.
It was different in so many ways. It follows like the soundtrack, the way it was filmed, the way it was edited. Sorry, I had a piece of also it's like, is this in the future or is it in the past? Like, what era does this take in? Like, that movie was very different in a lot of ways. A lot of ways.
And I just remember like I getting creeped out of the one old guy that kept following that girl around. Like he was, oh man, it was just that scene was just really fucking creepy. And I just it's like, well, I'm not having sex no more.
Well, that's the scariest part. But then it's like, I'm like, well, what happens like at the end of that movie? Why I didn't like that movie. It was just like, so you're just never safe. You just can't ever have sex. Like, even if you stay with the person, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, just don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get it. It definitely comes with questions. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so two movies that you have never seen that people will be like, are you kidding me? This is a tough one because I'm trying to, if you just name one, that's fine too, because I'm trying to think as well, like a really popular movie that people always talk about, and it could be any genre, period. I just always find this question interesting because I'm like, I like to see the wow factor of some people. Like even in our top 10 movies, you asked me have I saw, and I'm like, no, and you're like, what? Like, I love that. I love that. So is there a movie out there that a lot of people talk about that you've never seen before, or maybe have only seen once that you really don't remember it?
Okay, I'll stick with horror genre. I have never seen Hellraiser.
Really?
Ever. No.
So
Never.
does it just not intrigue you, or?
I remember renting it once. I think I rented it a couple times and just we didn't get to it because back in the day you were able to rent like 8 movies for $10, so you just couldn't like get to all of them in a night. So I just never have watched it. I don't know why. It's just I've never seen it. I'm not opposed to seeing it. I just never have seen it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know they just came out with a new one, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a big Hellraiser fan.
So, it's iconic though. It's iconic. Pinhead, everything's kind of, like really iconic about it. I've never ever seen it.
I got one for you.
Yes, let's hear it.
This is gonna.
Well, Evil Dead shocked me. Yes.
This is gonna ruffle some feathers. I have never seen the original Candyman.
Oh, okay. Add that too. I've never seen it either.
But I saw the remake, I
haven't seen that one either.
I don't even think it was a remake or a new one. I can't remember. I enjoyed the new one. It made me want to go watch the original, but I have never seen the original Candyman. I know that's crazy. People are gonna be like, "Oh, well, I'm turning this off." I've never seen the original Candyman. I don't know why. I never have.
You're not alone.
I don't know.
I wasn't like into it. I don't know. Like it appears in a mirror. I don't know. I just never watched it. I wasn't really into like he's like a killer, right? So I never really was into it. But apparently, like that bee scene, there's like a scene with bees like in his mouth crawling all over him. Like he did that.
Yeah,
like, he did that for real.
Oh yeah. It
Amazing.
Was freaking crazy.
I've never seen either. You're not alone.
Thank God. Thank you. Because I know people are going to be judging for that. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the episode. Why? What? What's so funny?
It's just like it's 2 hours. Like, well, I guess we gotta end it.
Well, I mean, it always happens, and I love it though. Like, there is no time limit. Doesn't matter at all. Our Halloween Ends review was one of my highest viewed shows of all time.
Yes,
it was like 102 plays.
It's amazing. Good.
It is amazing. So, that's going to wrap up the show. So I don't know if this is going up on YouTube or not. I'm deciding. Okay. I think it should. I think it's going to go up on YouTube though. I just got to figure a couple things out, and then I think this will be the first one though. So, and I was thinking about this before you even brought it up. So, I put a new layout together a little bit and everything. So, I I'm on YouTube all the time, and I'm like, I think it's about time I just get on YouTube. Like,
Yep.
I will say though, I do listen to most of my podcasts at work, just because it's easier. Or if I'm in a car, like I was telling my buddy the other night, like I love music. Like I listen to music all the fucking time, but I feel like I'm at the age now where like I get in the car and I play podcasts. Like
music is too much for me right now. I need
I'm like,
more
man,
chill.
I don't know why. And I love music. Like I listen to music all the time. It's just I feel like I've been listening to so many podcasts lately, and I
Good.
don't know, super exciting. So this episode comes out on Halloween. So if you're listening to this episode early in the morning on Halloween, I am gonna announce a pretty big guest. Marie already knows who's coming on the podcast. But
amazing.
Thank you. He's amazing, not me. I'm just
Both
happy.
y'all.
I'm just happy he agreed to come on. I'm super excited to interview him. He's doing work right now in the box office. So I'm going to announce that at 9 p.m. on Halloween. So really excited for that. I do have somebody else coming on the podcast, and I can tell you, Marie, after we get off here, because you know now, if that rings a bell. But that's going to wrap up the podcast. Marie, do you have anything that you want to say? Or I know you have some stuff in the works that you probably can't talk about, but where can people kind of... Oh, you can?
I can kind of, because it's coming soonish.
Go ahead. I was gonna ask you about it. I saw you were working on a little something. I'm like, okay.
So I first started out as like a guest on the Not a Strong Start podcast with these like amazing, wonderful men in mostly in California. Some of them are like Boston, some of them are, and
so they're on YouTube, and
they're on YouTube, they're on Spotify, and now I'm kind of like more than a recurring guest. I'm part of the fam, and I'm going to be getting my own show called Marie Plays It All, and I'm going to be focusing on video game playing and retro video games. And yes,
I love it. I love that so much.
It's so exciting. Oh my gosh, I remember them like talking to me about it, and they're like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, yeah. Like, you want me? Yes, I'm interested.
I was about to say, do you really have to ask? Retro video games? Let's go.
Yeah. There's retro video games, nor like regular video games, scary video games, movie stuff too. Also movies, mainly focused on movies that I haven't seen before. So
hell yeah. So you'll have your own show. Are you still going to be appearing on their podcasts from here and there too?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Cool. You're just going everywhere. Because I feel like you're a reoccurring guest now. You've been on like 97 times now.
I'm ready. I love it.
Well, you've never told me no when I ask you, so I appreciate that. I know this was kind of last minute too. So, so where can everybody follow you on Instagram?
Well, you can follow me at Marie Reviews Everything, or you can follow at Not a Strong Start, because I'm on that stuff too. So there.
Awesome. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in to episode 27 of the Take One podcast, and I'll see you on the next one.